All right. Your channel. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Pop out chat. Switch offline chat. And then we all good, I think. All right, we're live and good to go. All right, cool.
Your waters were tainted when you were sent to
I'm going to change
school.
the title.
Okay? The school got between you and your parents. I don't say homeschooling anymore because school is child abuse.
How much social interaction do your kids have with all their peers?
So my son is an extreme extrovert. He's got 2.5 million followers on TikTok.
I'm talking about in real life.
He has
2.5
so
million
many
followers.
friends. It's beyond
Real
me.
life. How much social interaction they have with other kids?
A lot. And
Where and when?
I have to ask you why you're asking that.
Ooh.
Okay, no.
Yeah, has he even made a TikTok account yet?
You've created this whole false paradigm
because I'll tell you
that homeschool is
Sam.
being
So what is your metric for success for homeschooling your children?
their happiness.
That can't be the answer.
No?
No.
But I'm talking.
Hey, what? I was going to say, I'm just going to play video games all day if that's the metric, yeah?
More the format, like our educational system, K through 12, and he can go into college as well.
I read a quote a long time ago. I don't remember who it was from, but the quote that I read was that if you were to pull somebody out of the 18th century and you were to transport them into today, the only thing they would recognize would be the schools. That like we have a way of educating people, and we've done it for like hundreds of years, and we
That quote's completely false.
Okay, well, it
We
seems
didn't
like
have schools in the 1700s.
nobody got.
My Discord, not your. What? Haven't we had. Haven't we had schools for like a really long time?
Educated anywhere in the
We didn't have schools in the 1700s.
Let's look this up. Schools. Wasn't there like colleges in like fucking Rome or some shit? Wasn't there like lecture halls and like. No, those were like lecture halls and like libraries, right? Fuck,
We didn't have schools. You're
Like
saying
school
that they would
systems, you mean?
recognize the school.
Like, yeah, the modern school system, I agree, hasn't existed for like 1,000 years, where we have like school districts with fucking taxed whatever shit, but like a place where elders teach children how to do things has been, hey, Kid Not Kid, thank you for also becoming a member in YouTube. I appreciate it, Kid Not Kid. Thank you so much. Thank you. Dude, a lot of the universities in the UK are hundreds of years old. The University of Edinburgh is 440 years old. That's actually really cool. Just like a cool thing. Something akin to K-12 has only really existed since the mid-1800s. Can I ask like how you know that? Like what is your frame of reference or something? Only reason she's slightly correct is because only wealthy people went to school. Oh, I see. That's where we're getting the yes, correct. Yes, I understand that.
So there were no schools in England or whatever. People weren't like
There
getting.
must have been some sort of schools.
colleges, but not schools.
Okay.
Okay, colleges. Sorry.
But not schools. So they wouldn't recognize the school system.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
What is our terms? Does college not count as school or? Okay.
When you say schools, you mean K through 12. We call college colleges.
Okay, well, I don't mean that, but maybe for the purpose of this conversation, then we can mean that. Okay, college is a separate thing from school. I feel like there are a couple of, if we're talking about like classes, I feel like there are a few basic classes that like every student should be required to take that we don't. So things like a basic home ec class, I think a basic psych and a basic philosophy course, I think would be really important.
Yes,
Just a
sir.
couple of the things that help us like exist in the world and like file our taxes and be like a little bit critical of like the things we watch. And then I know that largely speaking, I know that we've got troubles in schools, that throwing more money, at least in some places, doesn't seem to help. But I think schools are hard because sometimes that's like the last stop of like a whole bunch of problems prior to that, right? If you've got a kid coming from like a single parent family who's not getting much sleep, whose household is in like a really, you know, fucked up area, you know, at that point, how much can a particular like K through 12 school actually do for the child? I'm not entirely sure. Past that, if we're talking about colleges, I think colleges are pretty okay in the United States. We have our really good schools that people all around the world come to get educated in. I think that people opt too much for out-of-state schools. You got people talking about, I've got, you know, $200,000 in debt, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Are you a doctor? And then,
whoa, 200,000 in debt. Whoa.
they're like, no, I'm like a mechanical engineer, but I did like 7 years of like out-of-state, you know, plus tuition and board and everything.
Who the hell did that? I'm not trying to say it's unheard of, but I haven't heard of it. But Jesus Christ, what? Is this a thing?
And it's like, why the fuck did you do that? But yeah, I think largely.
So I know it's a thing where people will move to big cities because they want the big city life while they're in college or some shit like that. But Jesus, man, have some sense about you. 120 to 150K? What? I thought, isn't the average student debt like 35 grand, 40 grand? I'm betting her first words in reply are, "You're wrong. Money doesn't exist." Out-of-state college tuition is ridiculous. I've heard of the amount of debt, especially with masters. Well, yeah, if you're getting like masters, 200K sounds standard as a nerd in Massachusetts. Lol. My job doesn't require schooling, just selling my soul. A fair trade. After 1 year, you pay in-state prices. Okay. Yes, after all the awards are given, I'm like 40K in debt, but I never finished. That, I think, is the most significant problem, is when people get tens of, not to put you on your ass here, kid, not kid, but is when people put tens of thousands in and they don't get the degree coming out. I think that's where the student debt relief, I think, should be focused first. Because if you look at the median earnings of college is phenomenal, median earnings wise. When I looked them up like 2 years ago, I hate the propaganda that is against college because, you know, the average person's like $40,000 student loan debt. Average student loan debt interest is roughly 5% below market rate. Good debt by, don't take anything I say as financial advice. Good debt below market rate, meaning that you don't really want to, or in theory, you may not want to pay it off as fast as possible, not financial advice, but really good stuff. On top of that, the median earnings per tier, i.e. from high school, my Discord, not yours, from high school to bachelor's to master's, every tier is about $20,000 median earnings of income more. So you are just putting yourself eons ahead. You spend $40,000 getting a bachelor's degree that is giving you $20,000 median per year. That is just the greatest investment you have ever made in your entire, that is an obscene investment. So yeah. Now it's cool. I know how fucked I am. As an international student, my tuition is literally double the UK students. Thank God I'm privileged. It is what it is, Tommy. I hope you lock that shit down. I truly think you should get a BS and CS for a 3-year program. I don't know, man. I've talked to a lot of people going through these boot camps, and it seems successful. Going through these programming boot camps seems based. Heck, even a place like Michigan State has 40K out of state tuition, so 200K for a 4-year degree isn't that wild.
Speaking, I think that like the college stuff is okay. I'm not a big fan of student loan forgiveness.
Why not?
Okay. Coming from like a working poor background before I got into streaming, I feel like the middle class asks for a lot of tax breaks sometimes. And when I look at like really working poor people, I'm like, damn, these people are okay. And you want to have your student loan debt forgiven when you're going to go on to become some of the like the top tier earners in all of society. I think if you look at I know that
very interesting.
Yeah, the cost of education has grown, but the average amount of time to pay back a degree based on getting a degree.
The field is really competitive right now. Probably not what you want to hear. No, I know it's competitive. I recognize the realities that it'll probably be difficult to be able to land a job. I understand that. But CS degree is highly advisable. I understand. Look, at the end of the day, I can be ridiculously competitive with other people with CS shit. Like, I'm not really worried about it because if there's any negotiations to be done, I'm going to come out ahead. I can work for literally half of the wage anybody else can. Not even that, a quarter of the wage anybody else can. That's just the facts. So I feel pretty confident about my ability to do things, especially if I can have a sit down and talk with somebody about how this shit works. I could be like, you can literally pay me minimum wage and I will do this job. I'll be like, okay, sure. If you want to work for minimum wage, we'll pay you minimum wage. Yep. Sure. I don't care.
I think is about the same as it always has been.
20 years to pay back your debt. That's the average.
I think I thought it was 15, but it might be 20. I guess 21.
Maybe for,
yeah, but like
go-getters like you can do it in 15. But on average, I think it's 19, 20 years.
Maybe, yeah. But the people that earn college degrees go on to become the highest earners in society. So if we're going to target stimulus towards any part of like the economy, I'd rather go towards people that are like working poor and not towards people that are like engineers that just want to get rid of like a $500, $600 a month like student loan debt payment.
You're saying targeting stimulus?
Or like anything.
Like,
when we talk about
rather than spend the money to pay off people's debt that they chose to incur themselves in order to get ahead in this life,
that they're going to be rewarded for.
Well, there are limits to it. And by the way, the whole Biden $10,000 student loan, it didn't pass, correct? This was something. Well, it didn't happen. It got struck down.
I think it's in the.
It stalled in the Supreme Court. I want to say.
I think it's in the new.
Point is, nobody got the $10,000 or $20,000.
I know the site was open, and I know people were putting in applications. I don't know if anybody's gotten it yet.
Don't get me started on these sites. They're crashing.
On the websites.
But but there were limitations. I think if you made over $150,000 a year, you did not qualify.
Yeah, and then people with Pell Grants were qualified for up to $20,000. If you were going to do it, I think it was probably the best way to do it, and it's maybe a good way to get young people to vote, even though they don't otherwise.
You even point this out, like. I'll say this: college prep and career readiness is a Ponzi scheme. They got your kid for 12 years. They've already convinced you, and they've got 12 years to convince the kid you need to go to college, because if you don't go to college, you're screwed. And so you got to go to college. And what is that? That's just, you got to pay a lot of money to a school somewhere so that you have a college degree. And nowhere in school do they say why you have to go to college. It's just so that you can earn the money. But it's not like, let's make a plan for you. If you go to this school, it will cost you $80,000 total over 4 years, and then you have this potential of this earning. No, you can go for basket weaving and get $200,000.
I actually think this is a good point by this lady. I think this is pretty agreeable. When you go into college, you should probably have more systems ready for you to be able to say, hey, this is what your career will look like coming out of this. This is how much you're going to probably get, debt-wise, how much you're going to incur. Are you sure you want to go down this field? It seems like something that may not be, you're going to be paying off this debt for a good minute. I think that's a fair thing.
$1,000 in debt or whatever, and you completely unemployable. And so my point is, the whole thing is, at this point, it's just a Ponzi scheme. It might be based on data that came from 50 years ago, but at this point, we got to wake up and smell the coffee. Kids don't necessarily have to go to college. And you went to school, you graduated.
No, I failed.
Okay.
Well, I had to work too much, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're a dropout.
Wait.
Zuckerberg.
Not everybody can do what I do, though.
But Zuckerberg's a dropout. Gates is a dropout.
Hold on. No. Hold on.
They dropped out of Harvard.
People like Bill Gates and Zuckerberg quit school because they were too busy working on projects.
Correct.
If you're a guy that's failing, like remedial algebra, and you quit school, you're not going to become the next Gates Zuckerberg.
But bear with me. What I'm saying is, you do not have to have a college degree to succeed in life. And so setting up a child and saying you have to have a college degree in order to succeed is a false paradigm. It's just false. There are a lot of people who succeed. In fact,
most people who earn the kind of money that most people want to earn go through college. This is the fact of the matter. I agree with this lady. We shouldn't be telling people the only way to be successful is to earn money. I agree with this. I think if your kid is struggling dramatically going through school, doesn't want to go to college, you sit them down, you say, hey, let's look at your options. All right? You could go to a trade school. You could do some of these things that, might teach you something that really could help. You could go into the military, non-combat, if you're afraid of combat, non-combat role, something like that. Phenomenal for teaching you how to use practical skills. in your day-to-day application. Really great stuff. Like you let's talk about it, right? What can we work with? Why do we want to work with it? What don't we want to work with, right? I think a lot of people need to have those conversations with their children. But the fact of the matter is, you're a young man, young woman, and you're like, I want to make 60 or 80K. Listen, you're not going to make that almost certainly unless you go either to specific trades or through college, by and large. You're not going to make that kind of money. You're just really not going to do it. You're going to have to settle for 38 through like 45K is what you're going to have to settle with. Otherwise, you're going to need to make some money moves, some mogul moves. That might have to do with, packing in and going to college.
Most of my friends, I don't know, did you graduate? Okay. Most of my friends who are entrepreneurs, who are self-starters, who are successful in life did not go to college and did not graduate, or did go to college for a short term and figured it out and didn't graduate. And so my point is, it's a Ponzi scheme. They're all in debt, and now they're all saying, hey, government, bail me out.
I think you're doing a disservice to college. Hear me out. Because there's parts of what you're saying that I agree with, and there's parts of what you're saying that I just think is not the best portrayal.
The only other person I've ever met that's actually to defend college on a show.
Yeah, because there's different strokes for different folks. When you say that college is a Ponzi scheme, it depends on this is why I think the decisions you're making when you're 17 and 18 are the most important decisions of your life. Like, where am I going to school? You really have to do the ROI on college. Because it's been proven that high school...
You're completely unprepared to make those decisions.
Totally agree.
Youth is wasted on the young. It's true.
But it's been proven that if you look at the math, that if a high school degree, you'll earn $1 million over your lifetime.
$1 million per college degree.
$2 million, right? Exactly, $2 million, which you will earn on a college degree, okay? And then as you get a PhD or a master's, you can earn lifetime earnings on average $3, $4, $5 million.
Right.
Now,
Exactly. Like the ROI on a degree is way, way, way more than the 20, 30, 40K that you get in student loan debt. Leading up to it is unbelievable if you complete it, if you do it properly, right? It is an unbelievable return on investment. Phenomenal. Probably the best investment normal people have access to. I would say perhaps anybody has access to, honestly. Like the best investment you can get your hands on.
For every Bill Gates that drops out and Mark Zuckerberg that drops out, or PBD that doesn't go to college, there's hundreds and thousands of people that are just average people. So that's why I totally agree with you on this. Here's the problem that I think is lacking in America is there's a need for technical schools, right? These vocational schools. But the problem is, if you're going to go to high school, right? You're going to go K through 12 and you're taking all these classes, algebra, biology, math, this, that, and they say, hey, by the way, after high school, you should go become a plumber. What 18-year-old kid is going to be like, I've been in school this whole time and now you want me to go back to being a plumber? And what they don't understand is some plumbers will make $100,000 a year, and you might only make $40,000 a year with your liberal arts degree.
New York,
but
so you're making my point for me.
No, but the point is this: is that very few people are going to go through school for 18 years or 12 years and then be like, all right, let me go be a plumber or a sewage guy or a garbage man. Even though the ROI on that is greater than sometimes a college degree.
Only because of the whole college prep and career readiness Ponzi scheme. That's the only reason that's true.
Why is it a Ponzi scheme? If you get a degree, you get compensated
because it's like a pyramid scheme. It's like you pay in on the bottom, and then as more people pay in, you will get more money on the outcome.
Yeah, but you don't
get that. Except that for a lot of people, they don't get
that's only if you get the indoctrination of that you have to go to some out-of-state school and spend $50,000 a year.
What? How is that a Ponzi scheme? So the closest, if I'm being good faith to her, I go to a college and that college's prestige is built on the types of people that go to the college. So I pay into a college in the hopes that other prestigious children young people, in the case of college, young men and women, go to this college and give it the prestige that brings in also the money to be able to hire good teachers or facilities that gives it the level of renown. So that way, when I have the degree, I can use it to effectively get a career. How is that a Ponzi scheme? Is it a Ponzi scheme because it requires other people to get in on it? Is that like calling insurance a Ponzi scheme? Because insurance companies can't exist without other people. Fuck, companies can't exist without other people, right? What? I don't know. That's kind of tough. I don't know. That one's weird for me.
Here, if you're okay with going to community college and taking basic classes and paying your way,
here's the thing.
you can get out of college.
That's not a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme relies for you to get the money at the top from new people coming in at the bottom.
That's right.
But if you go and get a degree in nuclear engineering, you're not getting money from the school. You go out in the job market and you get paid in the job market. That's not a Ponzi scheme.
Well, it is, because when the government comes in and bails out everybody's student loans and all of that, then it's all of a piece.
Well, okay, one,
so
that hasn't
it's like
happened yet.
a whole feeder thing.
Yeah, but that hasn't happened yet. And two, if school, how many Ponzi schemes could you kill immediately? And like every single person that is like graduated would still be making money. That's not a Ponzi scheme. Right?
But okay, so my point is that it's a setup. Okay, because there are plenty of kids who really shouldn't be going to college. They're much better served not going to college, and there are plenty of kids in college who are being disserved by being taught things that simply aren't true about themselves and about life in general.
That's a different story. So for me, I think what you guys are saying is everybody here has a point, and everybody here is making a good counter argument to the other person. This is what I would say. To say all of it, like I want doctors to go to college. Like STEM is, I don't think you're saying that. I think STEM, you need to go to school for STEM. I'm not going to have somebody working my dad's heart that's never gone to school and hasn't gone and done, additional things. You need to be a heart surgeon. Yeah. I want.
And I'm not saying that nobody should go to college.
Right. You're saying.
What I'm saying is that the rule shouldn't be simply applied.
I think the part I have a challenge with is the following area. The part I have a challenge with is the fact that, for every one conservative professor, there's 13 liberal. That's the problem. For every, for example, the one thing you got to give so much credit to the left is they understood if you want to control the way people think, go control universities, okay?
Yep.
I like it how the left made a coordinated effort to infiltrate academia. Like we did this in a coordinated fashion. We planted these professors in here. I love that. Or it might just be that as you increase your academic understanding, maybe your understanding of stats and things like that leans you towards a certain way of looking at the world. It could be. Maybe. But no.
You got to do that. But by the way, Republicans were lazy on it.
It's true.
They have one school, which is Hillsdale, and maybe you got a couple other Christian schools that you got, Bible schools that you got. What else do the Republicans? Even Duke nowadays is what? Is on the left. Duke is not the Duke of 30 years ago.
Gone, Harvard's gone,
so with the Republicans, rather than taking the money that they had and creating some real universities, they just said, I'm going to go out there and just do my business stuff. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to go out. You need a pen?
Yeah.
Can you give them a pen, if you don't mind? Yeah, thank you. So I think that part is a mistake of the right. Like right now, the left is losing their minds because Elon Musk bought Twitter. Why? Because they've been controlling media for how long now? God knows how long. That's strategically a good move on them. So Elon comes in, he starts exposing everything, and they're like, Twitter files, don't even talk about it on mainstream media. They're scared shitless. That's how you compete. You compete that way.
We've lost the competition because they've indoctrinated all of the teachers K through 12. So our schools are gone.
That's a lazy side of Republicans.
Do you think? But it doesn't matter because it's the kids now that are.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you.
And you think that we have a chance to fight for the Second Amendment? The Second Amendment is gone because all of the kids today that are going to zero tolerance schools are learning that guns are bad.
Yeah.
Full stop.
But okay, so then the question for me becomes, if as a capitalist and a person myself that I'm fiscally conservative, as a capitalist, I like to say, what are you doing about it, Pat? That's my MO in my family life. What am I doing about it? Okay, perfect. If that's what Republicans stand for, what are you doing about it, personal responsibility? Then damn it, Republicans, take some personal responsibility and ask yourself, how many universities have you started? How many schools have you started? How much time have you put into it? Why don't you take your top 40, 50 richest billionaire Republicans and say, you really want to do this? I'm going to give 100% of my money away. To what? Bullshit charities?
Yeah,
no,
stop spending your money to these institutions just because you graduated
because they're not united and they're lazy. Get together and say, here's $50 billion over the next 20 years to build some incredible campuses and universities to compete against the Harvards and the Berkeleys and all this other stuff. How about we go do that? And they're not doing that.
Thank you for the $20, Essence. I will for sure take a look at the video you linked me. Let's see how long it is. It's only 15 minutes. Yeah, I'll take a look at it. I can't guarantee I'll take a look at it today because I actually do have to I have an appointment that my mom needs to go to. So, I should have enough time to get through this video, but yeah, we'll get to it for sure.
Totally agree with that. And I will add, save the children now. Save the children now. Do not put your children in school.
Public schools.
Any school.
You're saying not even college.
School, that's K through 12.
K through 12,
right.
Okay. What can we agree that education is at least a quest for knowledge?
Sure.
Education should be a quest for knowledge. What's the first thing
Fundamentally,
What's the first thing you learn to do in school if you want to ask?
Sit down and shut up.
Don't
raise your hand.
Raise your hand to ask a question. You need permission to ask. You can't just ask questions. You need permission first. You have to draw attention to yourself. This is an embodied lesson. You're embodying this lesson of don't ask, okay? And we said that education is a quest for knowledge. That begins with what? A question. The first thing you learn in school is don't question. By the way, we're living in a whole era right now.
Wait, you learn to not question? Wait, no, you learn to question in a polite manner.
Don't question. No questions are allowed.
Well, watch this. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, ask me a question and don't raise your hand.
Ma'am, may I please? Well, I think that the format of school, which has consistently been there for 100 plus years now, was based on the factory workers, industrial revolution, get in line, fall in line, stay in line, that whole thing. But I want to hone in on what you do. You're a major advocate on homeschooling. So I'm sure you can go on for days the pros of it. But my question is, what are the pros and cons of homeschooling? I have a lot of friends that are doing homeschooling right now. Pat's kids are in private school. I went to public school my whole life, and then at the end of high school, I went to private school. I've done it all. The last thing that I ever wanted to do in my life was be home with my parents and learn from my parents. Like, homeschooling was not an option for me.
Yeah.
So what are the pros and cons that you're seeing from being a homeschool?
So let me say this. My relationship with my teenagers is amazing, okay? You want a good relationship with your children, do not send them away from you for 8 hours a day. Do not do that.
No.
Zero do that.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, just with my parents, I would
No, I'm in the
for
death.
1 year.
Hold on. You guys can't comment because your waters were tainted when you were sent to school, okay? The school got between you and your parents. The school presented.
I don't know about all that.
The school prevented.
My mother had to work a job. Like, there is no other option. Like, she couldn't teach me. What was she supposed to do? My bad, all right? My bad. Next time I'll spawn without a single mother. my bad.
I think
when I was 19, I was homeless for a month, and I thought, man, this sucks, but it's not as bad to live with mom and dad.
You can't say because
I'm with him on that.
You can't say because you don't have the experience of not having the school come between you and your parents. The thing that when you drop your child off at school, you are tacitly telling the child, I abdicate my responsibility. I cannot be responsible. The school is responsible. The school has authority. My authority is now challenged inside my own home.
What? No, it's not challenged inside of your own home.
Moment that the school disagrees with whatever, you lose.
No, that's not true at all.
That's part of life.
No.
Wait, this is not true. Because your kid was taught something that you disagree with in school doesn't mean that your like authority as a parent is gone, unless what she's defining as authority is your like ability to control everything that your kid intakes. And then at that point, yeah, I agree with Destiny. That's life. Like, if what you're saying is I can't control every single last thing that my kid hears, sees, or does, like, yeah, that's fucking life, dude.
It's not. I disagree.
You're wrong.
My teenagers have never rebelled.
Your teenagers
and I
have
know
to follow
plenty.
a different set of rules depending on what environment they're in. If they go to a friend's house, that friend's house might have a different set of rules that they have to play.
Not if they challenge my rules.
That's not really true.
If you're, let's say that, I don't know if this is the case for you, but if your house, let's say you guys wear shoes in your house because you do that and you don't care, and if they go to another friend's house and then their house, the rule is no shoes in the house, they can't challenge, I mean, they could challenge that
The
parent's
rule
authority, but
is
it would
respect, right? The rule
okay,
is
but if you're going to make it
respect,
that
so
broad, then you
abide
can say the
that.
same for school. You respect what your teacher tells you, right?
My point is the teacher sets up this conundrum inside the child. So daddy is authority, except that now the teacher is the authority, and daddy told me that the teacher's the authority, so now I trust the teacher. And by the way, as we know, and I don't know what private school, but we know in public schools there's a lot of challenge to parental rights and parental authority, and that sets up a
What challenges to parental rights?
huge conundrum for the child. That's child abuse.
Well, can you just go back to my initial question? 'Cause
Yes.
obviously, you're going to be an advocate of
True,
homeschooling.
Phoenix.
We're not
I
trying to
don't
sway
say-
your opinion.
I don't say homeschooling anymore because school is child abuse. The whole
All right, well,
idea.
you've got a whole
the whole
far-right
idea-
directive on this. But let's go back to the question. What's the pros and
Yes.
cons of home
learning.
education?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the pros and cons? Give
Okay,
me like
well-
maybe the top 3 pros and maybe some
Okay.
cons if you would.
The founders of the nation,
Yep.
geniuses, right?
Sure.
Geniuses. They created this. This is the greatest leap in prosperity the world has
forefathers
ever
were
seen.
total G's,
Right?
100%.
Never went to school.
Top G is one might say.
Top G's.
Never went to school.
Yes.
What?
Well, as you said, there were no schools
were no
back then.
schools.
Hold on,
Never
I
went
just
to
want a
school.
quick fact check for the
Hold on. Also, if we're defining school as not college, I don't think we should let her get away with saying, oh yeah, look at Elon Musk, look at Bill Gates. They didn't go to college, so and they're so great. Well, hold on. Your argument's against schooling. They went to school and they definitely used what they learned in school to be able to start their fucking careers. So, like, if our argument is against schooling, as school being K through 12, these people went through K through 12. What's your excuse? Elon Musk is in my bin. Bill Gates is in my bin. They're not in yours. They went through school. I don't know. This is so weird.
So if people start looking up Benjamin Franklin, George, all these people, none of these people were educated in any institution outside the home. There were no tutors brought in outside. There
Wasn't Lincoln renowned for like walking 2 hours or some shit to go to school every day? I know Lincoln at least was renowned for being some school nerd.
Like teachers anywhere, they didn't go to any sort of class.
But that's not the question. The question is, did they go to school? They didn't go to school.
Okay, but
K through 12,
were they educated by their parents at home, like a homeschooler would do today?
Perhaps.
Well, you're the one making the claim. Is that true that they were educated?
All I'm saying is we didn't have schools, so they didn't go to school.
But go on with your point. Fair enough. We're going for pros and cons of homeschooling. I'm trying to get this answer.
So my point is the freedom model, right? Created
Yeah,
this.
it just wasn't public.
Got it.
Benjamin Franklin, do you know what he did?
I don't understand.
He did a lot of stuff.
Everything.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. But what our system does is it pigeonholes the child and it says you need to do this or you need to do that. You need to choose. You can't do both. It also says
Are they in
don't
a
try.
bank? It looks
That's
that
one of
way.
the paradigms in school because failure's bad.
Okay.
Failure is bad. What's the key to entrepreneurship?
Try again.
You fail.
Yeah, of course.
You fail and you get back up and you try again.
All right.
But the school paradigm is failure's bad. That red F on a white sheet of paper, that's bad. So don't try. That's the subtext. That's the
I agree with this woman's what she's getting at, which is that failure in school is such a significant thing. It's seen as so significant, and that you can't fail. That failure isn't an option, right? Because if you fail, then you've wasted your time. You've wasted money, maybe. You've wasted, your potential. It's squandered. So it doesn't teach you the important lesson of failure is a natural part of learning, right? So, but, to counter this, in most classes, you can fail at several tests or whatever, and then make a comeback by learning the material better or learning separate material better and doing, overperforming in future tests. That can happen, but yeah. I don't know.
underlying message.
Or one might say, don't try to don't fail. But, okay.
Yeah, how do you get A's if you don't try?
But keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay.
Well, I'm looking for pros and cons here, just to be a
So
friendly reminder.
the pros are the family relationship.
Sure.
That's a huge pro. The freedom that the child has to pursue his innate giftings. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of freedom built in. There's a lot less time spent on quote education. And let's just talk about academics for a little bit, because the school focused very much on academics. So we believe that education is academic, right? I mean, when you define education, how do you define education?
That's
Or
a very
school?
broad word.
Well, your child goes to school to what end? What does he-
Learning.
Well, they go
Learning
to
what?
school to learn things, but generally to prepare them to exist in the world. It's probably a functioning unit of the
But
economy.
one of the criticisms that you had of school is it doesn't prepare them, because it doesn't teach home ec. It doesn't
Hold on.
teach.
I didn't say
life
it didn't
skills.
prepare them, period. It prepares you for the future job, hopefully, that you hold, and it kind of rounds you out as a person. You learn other things.
Do you know that school today, that the jobs that the schools are preparing children for are going to be gone in the next 15 years? That
No.
Wait, which ones? Can we name a couple? Hold up. Let's name a couple. Let's get a list. Let's hold it to it.
I think if you go to
of
school,
the jobs
no.
that are being
Let's hold it to it. What jobs? Let's round a couple of. You said broadly school. Let's name a couple. Let's hear them.
that will be created in the next 15 years, the schools aren't preparing children for.
That might be true, but I mean, but who do you think's going to have? How many besides you? Do you two have kids?
He's got 4. I've got 0.
If you had kids, would you send them to college or no?
Well, that's not the question. Would I send them to school? Would I send them to school?
Would you send your kids to college?
Depending on what they want to do.
yeah.
Depends on
But
what they wanna
Just
do.
so you know, for me, it's more around STEM. Like my kids.
College is a tool.
So let me give you an idea about what my thoughts are on this. I don't think homeschooling is for everybody.
A lot of jobs are going to be automated away, though. Yeah, but a lot of these jobs are not what you go to college for. A lot of these jobs that are getting automated away are like fucking trucking and shit, or maybe some trade school jobs at most. Most of the jobs that are being automated away are not jobs you go to college for. Most of them, no. Like, most of the jobs you go to college for are the ones that are staying. Yeah, you go to the college to learn how to be the automator, not somebody who's like a taxi car driver or something like that, like somebody who drives like for Uber or Lyft, fucking truck car drivers, maybe a store clerk. These are the jobs that are going to be going away. None of these jobs you get coming out of college.
I do think more people should consider homeschooling.
High-level jobs are being targeted to lawyers and doctors. I know you did. I'm assuming that there is somebody who is shadow banned in my chat room that you have to be talking to that isn't me. I'm assuming that you did not just say that lawyers are not going to exist as a job in the near. I know that's not a thing you just said.
Right now, we have about 3.7 million homeschool students in America. It's a bigger number than I thought, by the way. I'm looking at the data
Well, it
right
almost
now.
doubled because of COVID.
How the fuck are you going to get rid of lawyers as a job? How the hell are you going to get... Are you talking about paralegals? I don't even think that's going to be... But that's a little bit more realistic. You're talking about lawyers.
COVID.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised.
Well, it's
and
a
I
black
think
swan event.
COVID also probably encouraged parents to say, you know what, I kind of don't want to put my kids in school. I don't like what they're doing. So it was a bad thing.
Rightfully so.
No problem. I'm for the average person that doesn't want to do homeschooling. My wife doesn't want to do homeschooling. We've talked about it. She doesn't want to do it. She's like, no, I'd much rather have the kids go to school. So they go to a private Christian school, and we're happy about it. My concern is the values and principles being forced down kids' throats today when you're talking to them, and that is to do that too early makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
Didn't you just recently say you had a conversation? I feel like you had a conversation about LGBT with your kids recently, or something that you kind of weren't prepared to, right? And the exposure, not just to like what's being taught in the schools, but the exposure to the culture that comes from the other children.
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
So all of that is like this nefariousness from the culture that's feeding in to the kids who are in school today.
Yeah.
But we used to say that education was the 3 R's. Right? The 3 R's. It's academics. And that was the big thing is like take the Bible out of school.
What's the 3 R's? Reading, recess, and arithmetic?
Yeah, reading, writing, right? It's not even 3 R's. Like we know that it's a lie and yet we sort of like laugh and move on. But it's not. Education is the whole doctrine. Education should be focused on the whole child and how to manage that child into adulthood. You're raising the parents of your grandchildren. You're not raising children. You're raising the parents of your grandchildren. So so keep your eye on the prize. What do you want for them from their lives? And the school teaches college prep and career readiness. That's the whole focus of the schools is to get those kids into college. College prep and career readiness makes the value of the child his earning.
If there's one thing I will say,
I think that's true. I think that point. I think I think those points are tangible. And I felt that, and I understand this to be like an issue is that you are setting people up to say that really their core value is what they earn, and I think but I think the solution to this problem is what the brother Stephen was talking about, which is teaching people real tangible skills in school. How to pay your taxes, how to do, various different things, how to get a fucking ID, right? How to set up a bank account, how to make sure you're, paying off credit cards that way you can build credit and not go into credit card debt. Financial responsibility, financial literacy, budgeting, philosophy, so you can have some kind of basic level critical thinking skills, or what does it mean to be a critical thinker? I feel like that's a good tangible solution. Not removing everybody from school.
Says I don't trust in the public educational system. I don't. If a person can make money, if the person can make
lawyers aren't out there in the courtroom 100% of the time. Yeah, but if there's any lawyers in chat, stop me if I say something ridiculous. Just because they're not in the courtroom 100% of the time doesn't mean that their job isn't trying to figure out how to make an argument out of the facts that they might have in front of them. A lot of, to my knowledge, the prep work and stuff that goes into being a lawyer, or at least one that is court facing, is someone who is understanding the facts of the case and are trying to figure out how to argue them in favor of whatever position they're in, like in favor of the state or in favor of the defendant or whatever. Was it the plaintiff or the defendant? Yeah. I mean, Tommy's in here, isn't he? I don't know if he's still here. He's a lawyer, dude. That doesn't seem to throw the baby with the bathwater. It means to update the electiveness to understand basic skills, typing classes, econ class. Right, exactly. And I think that's it. Yeah, I guess I won't convince anyone outright here, but I do believe AI is going to be assisting lawyers to the point that a lot less lawyers are needed. I just, maybe? In 50 years, I could see that being the case, maybe. But, like, you got to keep in mind that if you're a kid who's 18 years old and you're thinking about becoming a lawyer, at the end of that 50 years, you're either going to already be retired or so senior in your lawyer position that you're probably not going to be the one to be replaced. It's probably going to be some 18-year-old dude who 50 years from now. So like some dude who hasn't even been born yet and won't be born for another 32 years is probably going to be the person who's going to lose their job. It's not going to be you because you're a 50-year vet to the game. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about it.
Money, enough money. Like, you know how people just sell the dream on, hey, go make money so you can buy a Ferrari or a Lambo or if you can go make money to get your kids out of public school, to put them in a private school that's teaching the values and principles that align with you, go make your money for that. That'll be better worth of your money being spent than going and buying a fancy car or a dream house. Yeah, I'm not a fan of what's going on in public schools. Right? Yeah. So some want to do homeschooling and some can take the alternative and put them in a good private school.
I fully agree with Pat. And again, I've been to public private, but I do want to get this question answered because there's a lot of people considering homeschooling and that's great. Ben Franklin, everything, the household. But are you willing? Are you willing to at least acknowledge that there are some cons? And what are the cons?
Sure. So, well, first of all, so we call it homeschooling, but the problem is that means we're taking the school paradigm and adopting it in our homes. And I think that's basically the Trojan horse, right? We're allowing the school paradigm to invade our homes. And the school paradigm is not a learning paradigm. It's a don't ask, don't try, don't think paradigm. So it's the anti-learning paradigm. That's why I bristle at the word homeschooling. And that's why his wife doesn't want to homeschool, because she doesn't like school. She didn't have a good time in school. So why would
she just doesn't want to spend her entire day teaching 4 kids?
Well, because she believes that it takes the entire day, because we've been brainwashed by the system to think that...
Whoa, bro, listen, man, it takes a while to teach kids, especially in their own home. As somebody that tried to do online classes, I can tell you, being inside of my home environment where it's so easy for me to slack off, I'm gonna slack off. That shit's gonna happen. That shit's, yeah. Oh yeah, that's happening. Oh yeah, that's happening. So I don't know. I think just going like, hey, look, we're inside of a comfortable environment. They're obviously, it's going to be significantly expedited to learn inside of this environment. Not quite. I don't feel like you understand exactly how this works. It's going to take a little bit more time. Stand by.
School takes the entire day, but the only reason it takes the entire day is because parents were working and they said,
doing
hey,
that
give us your
stupid
children
shit
while you're
the
working,
racist
and
guy
we'll keep
does.
them for the full day. But school doesn't take, education doesn't take the entire day.
So what are the cons?
So it's a completely different paradigm. So
what are the cons?
The cons of homeschooling is trying to replicate the school at home. That's a disaster. And in fact, the parents who choose the K through 12, which is like the public school curriculum, they choose to do that at home. They have the highest recidivism rate, and they put their kids back in school because they can't do it, because it's a setup. Okay, you went to school for 12 years and you were taught you can't.
That's why I don't work out. Yeah. Every time I tried to work out at home, it didn't work out. The moment I went to a gym, I started a coordinated effort. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna go to the gym. It worked out. It's been so easy for me to go to a gym consistently. Working out at home, it's just like, bro, I'll do some like whatever exercise and I'll be like, man, Tarkov is calling my name. Fuck. But when you're away from the Tarkov, you're away from the shit, it becomes a lot easier.
Feels like you can't.
Can't do anything.
I can't vibes from him. Yeah.
Exactly. How much social interaction do your kids have with all their peers?
So my son is an extreme extrovert. He's got 2.5 million followers on TikTok.
I'm talking about in real life.
He has
2.5
so many
followers.
Friends. It's beyond
real
me.
life, Sam.
Real life friends.
No, how much interaction?
I went to a conference and I sat next to a young guy and had some nice interactions with him. He ran all the AV stuff for the conference. I go home. I'm telling my son about this conference. He goes, "Yeah, I know. You were sitting next to Josiah. He's a friend of mine."
that he met online.
No, that he met in person. I
Okay,
used to
forget
hang out
about your
with him.
famous TikTok son. You have how many kids?
3.
3. I'm asking how much social interaction they have with other kids.
A lot, and
Where and when?
I have to ask you why you're asking that.
Okay, my fear is that they're probably, I'm not saying your kids, if you're doing homeschooling and you're hanging out with mommy
Bro,
and daddy.
these niggas are exactly like me, bro. They're shut-ins. They're only talking to people on Discord and shit, bro. Homie, they're gonna get fucked, bro. They are fucked. They're absolutely screwed. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
Every day. My fear is that you're not interacting with your peers. One of the
Why
things
is that a fear?
What do you, I mean, because you got to get out there and be a part of the world. My fear is that I don't have kids, but I have a nephew that I basically help raise. He's a 10-year-old kid. He goes to a great public school in Miami. That's hard to believe.
My
I
fear
get it.
for him is that he's being bullied or he's learning how to bully.
But I don't operate in fear. I operate in reality. He's not being bullied. If anything, he's doing the bullying.
You said you
operate
had
in
fear.
fear.
Yeah, exactly. I can. But my fear would be that I'm home with mom and dad every single day. I have like some sort of mommy Oedipus complex going on, and I don't have any interaction with any kids my age. I'm not on a sports team.
That's bull-
I don't interact.
I'm sorry,
but
that's
it's
a
not
complete bull.
No,
Has he even made a TikTok account yet?
Wait, that's...
You
Okay, yeah.
created this whole
No,
false paradigm
because I'll tell you-
that homeschool
Stop it,
is
Sam.
being home at
Let me tell you.
mommy
Let me
all
tell you
day.
some of
It's
my best
not.
memories of school. And
That is literally what homeschool. When do they like? Is there like a homeschools union or whatever where you guys come together for a recess? You get like you drive like 3 hours out to some random park where all the homeschooled kids get together for recess. Like, yeah, homeschooling is a very isolating thing for children. Yes, correct.
anyone out there is watching this, it isn't in class raising your hand. It's in between halls, recess,
I know.
talking to a hot
Right.
chick over there,
It's the
understanding social
socialization
dynamics,
argument. I know.
socializing. What are we doing during recess? Oh, those kids are smoking cigarettes. Holy shit, I don't want to smoke. Let me go over here. Those are the gangs. Let me not go over there.
right.
I'm on a sports team right now. Cool, there's my best friend. Hey, buddy, good to see you.
Yeah.
That is what school is.
My kids did
And
sport.
And you know what this is? This is a thing that you should like. This is a stream that you should like. Okay? Like the damn stream. Like the fucking stream. I thought that transition was going to be a little bit better, but you know what? I went for it. Like the fucking stream, okay? Huh? I see a couple of you haven't done it. Homeschool parents really think that organizing a play date with their friends' kids is the same as meeting kids at school, LMFAO. I don't think there is a substitute for interacting with kids on a daily basis at school. I don't think it's possible for you to homeschool your kids and emulate that kind of behavior. I don't think it is. That is a completely different world. And it's it's just very difficult to emulate.
they get none of that at homeschool.
They absolutely do not get none of that at homeschool. You're
They
setting
get
up
to
this
see you in
completely
between
false
periods.
paradigm.
What do they get to see?
Ask a specific question.
They have
So
much more social interaction than they would in
Can you
school.
be specific? How?
Where? How?
Well, my kids all did sports. They all went to piano.
Wait, what
They
kind of
all-
sport? How do you do sports as a homeschool kid?
You actually participate with schools.
You just
You're part of
participate with the
sports.
school sports
They
leagues.
let you. They just like send kids to play
or the
Oh,
non-school
okay.
sports leagues.
Gotcha.
They by the way, they went shopping with me, so they had plenty of interaction with people, real people, adults in the stores, for instance.
Got it.
They went to,
My kids get their social interaction because they go shopping with their mom? Oh my god! Ah! Wow! Yo! Hey, listen, I want to follow this nigga's TikTok so that way I can be there for him because I know for a fact when he grows up, they're going to be like, dude, our mom was a piece of shit. They didn't allow us to do this. They didn't allow us to do that. It's like, brother, I know it. We heard it. We know it. We know it. We know it.
events with me, so they had plenty of my kids all grew up on film sets, so they had plenty of interaction with people of all stripes on film sets. So the idea that somehow they're just home, you're painting me as if I grew up or I, raised my kids in some backwater in Georgia and prevented them from seeing people, and that's just a
There's some homeschools in Georgia right now that are very offended.
Yeah, okay. What about the kids who go to school who can't talk to anybody because they're extreme introverts, and the schools actually like kill them because they are so burdened by all of the interaction? Like
Sam,
you can't just
I
paint
think-
one picture and
Sam,
say, "Wait."
totally agree with you. You made a very clear case of why you should do homeschooling. That's great, but I think it'd be unfair to acknowledge that there are certain situations where they're not the best approach. Like for instance, Destiny and myself. If my mom or my dad was trying to be my homeschool teacher, I would flunk out of school and I would skip class, if you know what I mean, every single day.
Because they brought the school paradigm into the home.
I enjoyed school. I enjoyed interacting with others. That has helped me become a salesperson, an entrepreneur, and understanding networking, social dynamics. That actually worked out well for me. So what I'm saying is, like, not every kid should just go to homeschool, period. period, end of story. There's pros and cons to everything.
Listen, if you're religious, you can go to CCD. There are after-school clubs you can send your kids to. There's plenty of socialization.
What's CCD?
Like Christian education for kids. Like if you wanted to send them to a private school, but you homeschool them instead, you send them to those things. Sunday school.
There are lots of
right?
co-ops
Yeah.
and
Plenty of
other
places to get
kinds of
social
paradigms for kids to
Homeschooling
have.
comes in.
Maybe your bad relationship with your parents is because you were conditioned at such an early age to spend so much time away from them when you went to the school.
To be clear, I love my mom. If she's watching, I love her
Well,
mom.
you sound like you couldn't be schooled by her. So,
That's
and
true.
maybe that's because the school got between you and your mom at an early age.
Yeah, listen, I think it is an argument that's being made, and I think more people ought to consider homeschooling, but I don't think it's for everybody. Here's some statistics to look at. 3.7 homeschool students in U.S. State with the most homeschoolers are Carolina, Florida, Georgia. Top 3 reasons for homeschooling is concern about school environment. Top reason, homeschool students outperform institutional school students academically. Interesting. The highest
by
homeschooling
far.
rate.
I'd like to see this. Homeschool students outperform institutional school students academically. I'd like to see this. Are they all, or is it average? Is it within the area? What is it isolated to? What are we comparing it to? Because this would be surprising to me.
Is among students with a grade equivalent of 6 to 8. 48% of homeschooling households have 3 or more children. The average cost of homeschooling is $700 to $1,800 per student per year. Wow, it's a big savings. 1 in 3 homeschooling households has an annual income over $100,000, and homeschooling.
What did that just say?
It's a big savings. 1 in 3 homeschooling households has an annual income over $100,000, and homeschooling saves $56 billion of taxpayer money annually. Go a little lower to show which state has the most. It was interesting to see who was number 1. Keep going down. Keep going. You'll see
North Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina's number 1 with 10.4%. Keep going. Right there. Okay. 10.6% of all the students in Carolina are homeschooling. Wow. Did you know that?
It is
Jesus, that's a very high number.
by far and away more pervasive in North Carolina. Why is that?
Yeah, Florida's 4.6, and it's Georgia, Virginia, Washington, Wisconsin, Minnesota, South Carolina, Massachusetts,
I think
Nebraska.
it's infectious. I think when you meet children who have been home educated, they're a cut above.
I would ban homeschooling nationwide. I think I'm very close to being similar, but I don't think I could do that because that would be. I think the main thing, honestly, stopping me from doing that would be 2 things. One, the public school system is pretty bad, and inside of specific areas, I would consider it to be so bad that you might want your kid to be taught within the home. Number 1. Number 2 is because I think people would lose their fucking mind. I think there'd be fucking people that would just lose their goddamn minds. Just conservatives pulling kids out of school to avoid indoctrination. Seems like they're making some arguments about it.
They are more adult because they haven't been coddled. The schools tend to coddle children and infantilize them and make them feel like they can't. And so children who grow up in a homeschool environment, they do chores at home. They have a responsibility to the family that's more cemented, right? They're more locus focused or whatever. And so I think that and they're more conscientious. They tend to be more conscientious with their work because there's the paradigm between them and the parent, not a teacher that changes every year or every semester or what. My son in second grade had 2 teachers and they just alternated days. And I was like, that's not a great paradigm for a kid to go back and forth between a different teacher every day. So there's so much to recommend it, and there's so little to recommend against it. And the socialization argument is this cropped up, this sort of straw man argument that they've built up as a way of sort of saying, hey, but school is good for this. And I'm like, no, the idea is school is supposed to educate the child. So we're talking education. You want to bring in socialization? I'm like, I don't care because every choice is a binary choice, okay? And the reason that we know that is because you have your priorities. So if you prioritize the education of your child, then education is first. And socialization is, well, I'll get that figured out once I get education handled.
Dude, man, this is how you make fucking NPCs like me, bro. This is how you literally make NPCs, dude. If you want to talk about fucking physics and shit, I'm your nigga. But if you want to talk about how to, like, talk to people in a normal fashion, bro, that's how you get fucking weirdos like me, man. Bro, no shot. This is an L. I even have some public school experience, so I'm not running off of the negative fucking charisma that would come of this fucking shit, man. No shot, dude. No shot, man. No way, bro. No way, man. Absolute bullshit. Kids need to learn how to talk to one another. They have to.
Okay, so there is absolutely no argument you can make for socialization that would say the child should be in school. When I lose the education argument, the argument's done.
Let's say I fully agree with you. And by the way, you're making a great case. I'm not being argumentative, but
No,
I
but
think
no,
there are
poke holes.
I
Troll
think-
me, baby, troll me.
Let's go. Let's troll you right now. I think there are rules, and I think there are exceptions. I think what you are doing is exceptionally the exception. Because even like, let's take out North Carolina, which is the complete anomaly here, 10% of kids. So I don't know what happened in North Carolina, but every other state, you're talking about 2 to 5% of children. So there's 90 to 95% of kids that are never ever going to be homeschooled.
Whose parents don't have enough confidence in themselves, having gone K through 12, having graduated high school, do not have enough confidence in themselves to even teach their children the third grade.
that
They were
really what it
indoctrinated.
is?
They were indoctrinated at an early age with the school system. It's the only thing they know. So their whole life is a binary, like my kid either goes to school or he's a loser. How could a parent like that be in a state of mind to even begin to homeschool their kid?
I don't know if you're trolling me with that comment right there.
I disagree with almost everything you said. Sorry, I'm just.
What do you wholeheartedly disagree with Sam on? And you have an 11-year-old, so you could speak to this.
But he's making a really great case.
Yeah, but I think they're insane cases. I don't agree with anything. Almost like even the numbers.
I'm
on here
fine with
were-
that. You're still making a case, and you're being highly effective.
Sure. Even the numbers over here were crazy. That $600 to $1,500 a year. I'm guessing that's only spent on curriculum, like on books and stuff. But that
on
doesn't.
books.
Yeah, but there's something in economics we learn called opportunity cost, and having a parent stay at home for the entire day. That's 30, 40, 50,000 a year in lost income if they were working a job. On the other hand.
Yeah, but you would say that parent would insist that their child go to a private school. That could be 20 grand, 30 grand. I don't know.
I mean, if you're going to a really expensive private school, it could be that.
No, that's what school's called.
That was our choice,
Maybe in
right?
Miami.
In
I mean, I've looked at the
California.
tuition. I want to send my kid to the.
No way. The private school and every private school does not cost 30 to 40 grand a year. What is this? That's literally what? That's like a college. No shot. No, absolutely not. Fuck, some colleges cost less than that.
High school that I went to, which was a private high school, and I think that's $15,000 a year right now.
Okay.
But I understand costs are going to change in different areas.
Rich people brain? Yeah, it's probably Miami think. It's probably California think is what it is. It's not like Midwest or honestly any of the places that exist. North Carolina, you could probably get a private school for like a similar price to what apparently Steven pays for the private school teaching of his kid, probably like 10, 15, 20K. You could probably get away with.
I think the socialization argument is a valid one. I think there's a lot of stuff that's being hidden in terms of what you're advocating for in terms of homeschooling. So, for instance, you keep saying this, that 8 hours a day is too much. What do you think is what is like the ideal amount of time a day it should take for instruction? And then 2, what are the things that you want to cut out? I'm curious.
By the way, but before you answer that, I think it would be great, since we're on this topic, before we move on, Rob, are you able to do a poll from our audience if they're an advocate of homeschooling, or if they're I would like to get maybe some numbers from the audience.
Call it home learning, would you please?
Yeah, please
Home
do not
learning.
call it homeschooling.
Do not
Home
instantiate
learning.
that paradigm, that dichotomy, that false dichotomy of homeschool
He was
or
asking a
public
good
school.
question.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
can do a poll without having to stop him. Go ahead. Ask the question you were
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah, my 2 questions would be, 1 is, what do you want to cut from instruction? Because it sounded like you were saying 8 hours is way too much. You could do it in way less.
Yeah.
And then 2, what is the daily amount of
I think coming into adulthood is a blank slate. What? Riddle guy, you are lost. I'm on the anti-school side. Socially, school benefits the minority, which is popular kids. Majority gets socially shaped worse. I think coming into adulthood in a blank slate is better. What are you talking about? Literally, bro, I am here telling you my experience of having minimal socialization in school and how fucking far behind it puts you. Bro, being socially stunted is one of the worst things you can do. Like, unironically, it's fucking horrible, man. You can't be serious. Not being able to properly make friends or communicate your feelings to other people in a palatable way that doesn't make you come off as a degenerate is one of the most important skills you can have. And it comes quite naturally just by having a school system. Like, it's not even something that people, I think we should talk about it in schools to a degree, but like it comes pretty naturally through people just organically going through the school system. Like, not everybody should be a fucking socially stunted weirdo, okay? But what about all the people who went to school and still suck socially? There are those people. I think a vast majority of the people who went to school and suck socially are primarily people who went to school, maybe got bullied or something like that, and then stopped going or socially retreated, right? And that is a problem. But that's by and far not the majority. The majority of kids who go to school have developed socially just fine. And just fine. They, of course, suboptimal. I think most people are socially suboptimal, but they're better than me. Let me put it that way. They're significantly better off than me. because they're able to talk to people in a normal fashion. They're able to interact with kids their age, not come off as weird and shit like that. I'm having to play a game of catch up, and it's very difficult to do it. It is a very difficult thing to do. They were unpopular kids? No, they're not. Every single not popular kid is not like socially rejected. That's not true at all. Like, that's ridiculous. You severely overestimate the social skills school develops. You can believe that if you want, I guess, if that's something you want to believe. But I'm pretty confident by looking at how normal people come out of school and how they're able to talk to each other. I'm pretty confident that that people develop social skills pretty broadly inside of school, and it's a very natural and normal environment for them to do so. Do I agree that the stakes could be lower and could maybe benefit other people more? Sure, but yeah.
Instruction you think you need? Like how many hours a day or 30 minutes? How long do you think you need to spend?
Okay, so I home educated and I actually homeschooled, so I'm culpable here, right? This is
Home educated,
but
Sam.
no, I homeschooled. I schooled them, okay? Because I bought into the whole paradigm, and I thought school was education. So for several years, I homeschooled my children until I figured out that the freedom model is a much better model, and the school model is a failed paradigm, right? Because I felt inadequate. I went to Duke University. I speak 5 languages. I felt completely inadequate to educate my own children.
Just to refocus, I want to know,
Right?
how long do you think the instruction will be, and what do you want to cut from the
I
instruction?
spent roughly 3 hours at the kitchen table with my young children every day, all 3 of them, 3 hours. The rest of the day, they pursued instruction. The rest of the day, a few more hours during the day, they pursued instruction, but they didn't need direct instruction from me. They didn't even need me for those 3 hours. I just chose to be at the kitchen table available to them, getting my work done because I worked full time. I wrote a book, and I also did 3 hours of radio every day. So I was also working. And then one day a week, we had
Schools are prisons? Oh my God, oh no, you're one of those, bro. Please. Oh God, are you serious? Schools are a prison? Kids shouldn't be allowed to form popularity hierarchies by themselves. There should be adults involved. Yeah, because that's what I want. I want adults ranking my children based on how popular they think my kids should be. That's what I want. I love that idea. What could go wrong? What the fuck are you talking about?
Let's see, when they were very young, we didn't do the co-op. Then we started doing the co-op, and when my son entered 7th grade, actually before then, when they were 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, we did a full day of co-op. So that was from 9 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
And I spent the day with them there.
You said, how old do your 3 children know about? Do you mind saying?
21, 18, and 17.
Gotcha. Did any of them, or are any of them going to college?
No, not yet.
Do you know so the 21-year-old does TikTok?
He does TikTok, and he does social media for people, and he's an actor.
And do you know what the 2 younger ones want to do?
So my second seems to like engineering, but he's questioning whether college is the way to get to the cutting edge of engineering. So he's exploring his options right now.
So what is your metric for success for homeschooling your children?
Their happiness.
That can't be the answer.
No?
No. If I let my kid run around for 8 hours a day until he's 18, he would be very happy.
No.
But that can't be the answer for
education should be the pursuit of truth, beauty, and goodness. So as long as I've equipped them to pursue truth, beauty, and goodness, then I know that they are well.
What the hell is that? Did I just start talking to a leftist? What the fuck is that? What is that? Frou not truth, beauty. Truth makes it beauty and goodness. What the fuck?
Okay, so my mind is completely business wired. So I'm thinking like KPIs, like key performance indicators. So if I educated my child from K through 12 in my home, one marker for success for me, I would think that if he performs well on like the ACT or the SAT, okay, I've done a good job educating him. Or if he goes to college and he's very successful,
right?
Or if he maybe gets a good job, like a traditional job. Now, if they do non-traditional work, that's cool, but I don't know how much of a bearing that is on like how well I educated him, right? So like I could probably set my kid up to be decently successful on YouTube just because I am. If we started doing videos together, right. But I don't know if that's like if that's showing that like I educated him well, or I'm just like kind of letting him piggyback off my career. So I'm curious in terms of like how do you mark that you were successful or that your children had a positive experience doing the home learning thing as compared to a contemporary, as compared to somebody else at the same age. That
So
would have
to
gone
me,
through traditional schooling.
a marker of success is that my child can teach himself and is not afraid to learn. So my children will teach themselves anything that they need to know, and they're not afraid to go try to figure out how to learn it.
But if I ask, like, what is like
the other thing
level
is
of-
that they're all entrepreneurial spirits, and so they understand how business works, because that I think is something that we ought to be teaching our children.
Sure.
How business works. In fact, my son is a lot brighter than I am with regards to that.
I think that's one of the
well,
more powerful things that you said is the entrepreneurial free thinking spirit,
Well, but
because that is not taught in
No, that's
No,
but
it's
that's
killed.
not. But that's
It's
not
killed in
powerful though,
school.
right? Let's say that this is
Well,
going to
but,
sound.
but your metric is the academic metric. So
Well,
you're,
let's say I'm standing in a room with 100 parents, okay, and every single parent here. What is it? 2,400 is the max SAT score today? I don't even know. Is it 24?
I can't
I
remember.
thought it was 6, but they raised it to
1600.
I thought it was
1,800. It used to be
16 or maybe
1,600. They raised it. Yes.
Let's say that SATs. Let's say I'm standing in a room, SATs,
Inflation.
and
Inflation's
every
like
parent
2,400.
here is telling me that, like, oh, my kid got a 1,700 on the SAT, right? Very quickly, I can kind of ascertain like the academic capabilities and the math skills, the English skills, the reading skills of these kids. Let's say that you stand in a room with 100 parents, and I know both of you know this because you guys have probably hired people and talked to people before. Somebody comes up to you and they say, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't know what the that means. I'm going to need to see some work. I'm going to need to see a portfolio. I need to see some, like, just because you're an entrepreneur, that might just mean that you run a channel and you like do drop shipping and you make $400 a month doing that. You live with your mom, right? But if you tell me like, oh, I graduated from Duke, or I graduated from, even like a decent state school with an engineering degree. Okay, cool. I immediately have some idea that at the very least you can show up and get a degree in engineering. That says something, right? So
yeah, but it's superficial because
it's
just
absolutely
because
not
you,
superficial.
because
Saying you're an entrepreneur is
yeah,
superficial.
but if you also sure, but if you score 1,600 on the SAT, it doesn't mean that you can have an original thought. To me, having an original thought is more brilliant than scoring 1,600 on the SAT.
That's true, but I feel like the goal.
Sure, you could say it's more brilliant, but ass meets grass. Is that going to translate in that kid's ability to be able to be a productive member of society, to not even just for their community, if you don't believe in community, but for themselves, like for them to be able to get a job, to work, to be disciplined in that work, to do shit like that? Because you can be an entrepreneurial spirit but have no work ethic. That's another thing that is kind of glossed over, that school, traditional school, does honestly pretty well, is it can instill a work ethic in people to show up on time and consistently, which is, I think, pretty important to any employer. Like if I was looking to employ somebody, that's one significant thing that a college degree would show, is you can show up on time, you can handle a certain workload, and, based on college degree, you can handle a certain workload. So, yeah.
This happens. Everybody does this. There are problems. This goes back to one of the first things I said on the show, in terms of me defending institutions. I wish that we were better at criticizing things without throwing the whole thing out. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that school, K through 12, or colleges are a perfect institution. I think there's a lot of wasted time. I'm very progressive, but I think that the ideological leanings of the school are insane, right? That 13-1 is barely even a real number, because that one conservative is not like a gun-toting MAGA lobby. That's like a liberal conservative, right? That's a guy that would have voted for Clinton, right? The one conservative, right? So there are definitely problems with the school. I just don't like the idea, like, okay, there are some problems. I'm going to throw all of it out. We're going to ignore all the pros, and we're going to get so ideologically invested in our particular solution that we can't even name a single con, because I still don't know a con from the homeschooling thing. And I can think of three off the top of my head. My sister was homeschooled for her entire life. I know tons of cons off the top of my head.
What are the cons?
One is that you have a parent that's stuck in the household. Two is that you have to go out of your way to find extracurricular groups to sign up for.
The parent in the household is not a con to me.
Well, you're not. Well, that's because you guys had a lot of money. For parents where both parents need to work, that's unfortunately for a lot of people, that's not an option. Right. So one is
It's not a con to homeschooling. It's a barrier, but it's not a con.
The con is that it's a job that you don't get paid for. You're a slave to your kid, which is kind of okay. It's part of like being a parent to some extent, but a lot of parents.
I reject that characterization.
Okay, well, for the people that can't afford to have a single person, a parent, staying in the household until the child is 18,
go down the list.
For a lot, yeah, that's one. The second one is you have to go out of your way to find
extracurricular activities.
Yeah,
for your
like
school,
it could be CCD, it could be church
yeah.
stuff, it could be whatever. Thankfully, my parents were religious. I say thankfully, I'm an atheist now, but like so they had an easy community to kind of like enroll their kids in the Catholic, or my sister in class, whatever. And then three is support can be difficult. If at least back when they did it 15, 20 years ago, how old am I?
It's changed a lot.
Sure, it's probably changed a lot, but it could be like if you've got questions about like a certain curriculum or which books are the best or whatever, it can be hard to find that support online. Whereas if you've got issues with schools, there's a whole infrastructure built out. And then four is not as big a deal, but things related to special education requirements can be really, really complicated in the home if you're not ready to be like a full-time caretaker or meet like the individual needs of a child. Maybe your child has a speech impediment and you don't have to train them, you have to take them to a speech pathologist.
I didn't even
on school, right? Maybe they're asking for career guidance and you don't know the answer. Your child's like, oh, I want to be a mechanical engineer when I grow up, and it's like, okay, well, I got my degree in writing. I have no idea like what guidance I'm giving. So those are like four off the top of my head that are like challenges.
I went to high school and I had my drama class because I really liked drama and I really wanted to be an actress. And everybody at the high school, literally, like everybody at the high school said, you can't be an actress because nobody ever succeeds. And frankly, the gal who taught acting, pretty girl, had spent a bunch of time in New York, clearly had not succeeded because she was teaching high school drama in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So of course her paradigm was nobody succeeds because she didn't succeed. So just because your parent doesn't know how to get you somewhere doesn't mean that the school does. And in fact, there are plenty of people in schools that dissuade children, like I was dissuaded, from pursuing acting, which is why I ended up at Duke University and then had debt because I was studying something that I eventually didn't do. But the other thing that I just have to say, we live in a culture right now that believes in the school model because why? We all went to school, so we were all brainwashed into the school model. So your very definition of education is, well, you have to perform well on a test. That is not the true definition of education. And the idea that it's a terrible burden to have to be enslaved to your child, I will say this. We also live in a culture that our schools have taught us that sacrifice is the ultimate evil, that you should never sacrifice anything because you can have it all. And that's
I literally don't believe that's true. I think in the current school model, we're not taught that. We're taught in some ways the opposite, right? You are sacrificing your youth and you are sacrificing your time, often homework and stuff, your free time, homework and stuff beyond actually going to school to dedicate yourself to learning. This is sped up, right? Only by 25%.
alive from the pit of hell. And the fact is that sacrifice is the highest good. And the only reason that our culture has survived and that this nation has been created is because they understood that the free exchange, the free sacrifice of self for something greater than is the greatest good that we can have. And that's the basis of our...
I'm going to keep that in mind when I'm going to my job, is that I'm sacrificing myself for the greater good. I don't feel like this is how people are going to interact with the world outside of school. So I don't think this is necessary to be viewed as that. I don't maybe that would be taught in the philosophy course. I agree, generally speaking, that sacrifice for the greater good is obviously a greater good. It is necessarily true within that statement, that it is greater good, but sacrificing yourself for some kind of cause is in some way has valor to it. Like, it's a valuable trait to have in a person, but this is I don't understand why this can't be approached in the traditional school sense if it's so necessary.
Economy, it's the basis of capitalism, it's the basis of growth, and frankly, it's the basis of family. So when you have a family, you learn that you sacrifice for your family, because in the sacrifice, your true value comes out.
And that's
you build
great.
your value.
That's great, but when you say sacrifice, that implies a con. That's all I was saying. If you can afford to stay home and take
because the definition that we have been given from our schools is that sacrifice is evil. Sacrifice is not a con.
Sacrifice by definition, if there's no con involved, then it's not a sacrifice.
No, that's
right?
wrong.
That would be like me giving my wife a $500 certificate to some restaurant and be like, look, I sacrificed for you, get the my back. That's not a sacrifice. It doesn't mean anything. I didn't give anything up to do that, right? Sacrifice by definition implies that you're giving something up. If you've got plenty of money and you can
But it's not a con.
We're playing exotic language games to say that there are no cons involved in sacrifice. A sacrifice by definition is a pro on one side and a con on the other.
Then you can't call it a con.
Do you have the sacrifice to go to the gym?
You can't call it a con.
You have the sacrifice to go to the gym. Is there a con to going to the gym?
There's a sacrifice to everything, so you can't call it a con.
I'm going to keep asking this question again. Is there a con to going to the gym? Is it painful? Do you spend time doing it?
Okay.
There are cons to it, but there are pros too. You're healthier, you look better.
So you can't just call it a con. It's disingenuous to say sacrifice is a con.
You would say there are pros and cons. That's what we were saying before. That was Adam's initial question, I think 2 hours ago, was what are the pros and what are the cons? Just because something might be on the net good, there's still going to be cons involved.
Sure.
Right? Sure. Okay.
Net good.
Sure. Also, I think it's important to note, you mentioned having this really bad drama teacher. All of us have had bad teachers, I imagine, right? All of us have probably also had hopefully at least one.
We've had good teachers and bad teachers, yes.
Exceptionally amazing
Right,
teacher.
but we tend to glorify the school and say, but school is net good. And my view is school is net bad.
Okay, but the people who
and
don't go to school probably
but the point is, I think that different people will say, well, there was a net positive and there was a net negative. I think this is the whole fundamental question I was asking. What are the pros and cons? Because I don't think that there are all pros of doing homeschooling. I also don't think there's all cons of going to actual school.
Right, but of course my viewpoint is net
bad
good.
for schools next.
Net bad for school.
How old is your youngest kid?
17.
17.
Okay. I think you guys should just swap lives for a day, and your kid should go to homeschooling with Sam, and
I
your
wish.
kid should go to
I wish that-
Destiny's kid go to home learning.
I
Anyway,
wish
Pat,
I
you
could
want to take it
convince
from
you
here?
to try it because it is the most amazing.
I'm sure
thing,
there
and
are
you don't
amazing-
understand. Here's what people who send their children to school don't understand. They fundamentally can't understand the sacrifice that they are making.
I mean, you say that, but then on the other hand, too, I was a lot more lukewarm to the idea until Adam started asking about the socialization stuff. I feel like there's a lot of socialization that you're undercounting for your children. When he asked you, like, what kind of friends do my kids have? And your first answer is, well, he's a 2 million follower kind of TikTok. In my opinion, that's actually one of the fundamental driving forces in our society today that is destroying children.
Yeah, he doesn't believe in TikTok. My point is
He
that
might
he's
not
an
believe in it, but
extreme-
his 2 million
I think you're
followers.
just mad that he has more followers on TikTok than you.
my-
Only my
point-
accounts keep getting banned.
Exactly,
okay?
bro.
I'm
Clean it
getting
up.
depressed.
Because you went to homeschool, you went to school, and you hung out with the wrong kids.
Let me clarify that my point with that is he's an extreme extrovert. He has a ton of friends everywhere.
great.
Like he goes.
Listen, here's let's transition to a different topic. Here's what I will say on just listen to you guys going back and forth. You know, what you think the world of a homeschooling is, you don't have full context on it, right? We're
Totally
trying to
agree.
Okay. What she thinks of everything else as being very evil may not be as realistic to you and I, because we're like, yeah, I mean, like the biggest thing for me is the reason why I like conversations like this is because I learn through debate. That's how I learn.
That's
I
how
learn
we
through
should
people
learn.
debate. Sometimes if it's at the house, they're only hearing from one personality, one teacher. There isn't enough debate. Maybe that's one thing that is a high value in our family. I love debate. I love exchange. I love disagreements because it's getting your brain to work. It's like a muscle working here. If you don't have that, there's no debate.
All right. I'm going to be done. I made it through. I can't believe it. I made it through. In essence, I'm not forgetting about the video that you donated for me to watch. I'll be watching it tomorrow. Rest assured, I will be watching it tomorrow. Let's cue it up. Let's actually throw it up on the watch later so that way we can know exactly what it is. It is this video, Male Inequality, The Fall of Men, explained by an expert. Big think. Okay? Boop. Watch later. Okay? We're going to lock it down. I need to go help my mom with a doctor's appointment. That's why I need to go at this moment, and I'm not watching this even 15-minute video right now because I do have to go. I have to get shit done. I'm sorry for anybody that wants me to stream a little bit longer. I have some obligation. You guys have a good rest of your day. You guys enjoy whatever it is, and don't forget, play Escape from Tarkov. You won't regret it. Okay? See you later. Have a good one. Bye.